What if a sacred bell rang, even when no wind blew and no one was near it? Imagine standing beneath the canopy of ancient pines, the mountain air crisp and calm, silence all around, when suddenly a single solemn chime shatters the stillness. No hands had touched the bell, no breeze had moved it. Yet its sound echoes through the valley, felt by every soul in the village below. High in a remote corner of the world stands a centuries-old Buddhist temple. Time has carved its foundations deeper into the rocky earth, and moss traces gentle patterns along the stone steps. This is a place suspended between worlds, where clouds drift low along the timbered eaves, and only the devotees, the monks, and the curious few who wander far enough ever reach its prayer-soaked halls. At the heart of this sacred place hangs the great bell, a bronze giant, weathered by the passage of countless seasons. Its surface is etched with the careful brushstrokes of sutras, ancient Buddhist prayers, each word a wish for compassion, for wisdom, for peace. Tradition holds that the bell is never rung casually. Its resonance is reserved for the most solemn rites, ceremonial days filled with incense and murmured chants, when the prayers of the entire village are gathered and carried toward the heavens on each resounding note. For the villagers, the bell is more than an instrument. It is a vessel, bridging people and the divine. But local legend whispers something deeper, that sometimes, in moments of great spiritual import, whether luminous or tragic, the bell will ring on its own. Its voice, it's said, foretells a visitation from the sacred, or the shadow of fate passing close by. The story begins, as it so often does, on a night so quiet you might think the world was holding its breath. The moon, veiled by drifting clouds, cast only a pale shimmer over the temple roof. Down in the village, most windows were dark. Only a few lanterns flickered, watched over by families closing out another day. The air was utterly still, not even the faintest breeze stirring the needles overhead. Then, through the hush, it rang, a single, clear peal from the temple bell. The sound was neither hurried nor hesitant. Strong, solemn, unhurried, it rolled down the mountain and over every dwelling, commanding attention, stirring memories and fears long unspoken. Instantly, the villagers recognized it, and uncertainty swept through the homes. Who had rung the bell? Surely not the monks. They would never break with tradition, never disturb the bell's silence without reason. Within minutes, a handful of villagers, joined by the monks, reached the bell tower. Lamps searched every shadow, but no one, neither watchful monk nor hidden trickster, was anywhere near. The great bell, massive and unmoving, hung as always without a quiver. The ropes lay untouched. No marks suggested a visit, nor could the still air provide any plausible explanation. Before dawn, as all pondered the mystery, word reached from a hillside home. The village's eldest monk, revered for his gentle wisdom and ceaseless guidance, had passed away in his sleep. His face, they said, radiated tranquility, as if he'd simply slipped into another realm, guided by prayers from beyond. The implications were undeniable. The bell had rung not as a warning, but as a guardian, marking both the end of a life and the beginning of whatever lies beyond. The villagers whispered of karma and fate. Some believed the monk's spirit had been lifted by the bell's call, his life honored with the echo of ritual. Months passed and the bell returned to silence. Seasons changed. The temple gardens bloomed and withered again, yet the echo of that night lingered in conversation and prayer. Then, on the eve of the rainy season, with clouds gathering heavy in the sky, it happened again. The villagers, preparing their homes against the coming storm, were startled by a resonant chime, this time more urgent, pressing as thunder rumbled distantly on the horizon. Again, the air was perfectly still. Again, the monks hurried to the bell tower, and again they found nothing amiss. That night, the skies opened. Torrential rains battered the mountains, and a landslide, swift and fierce, swept through a remote glen. But the village itself was spared. The monks, in solemn meditation, later described how the bell's omen had prompted them to gather in prayer, offering chants of protection to the land and its people. In the years that followed, stories of the bell's strange autonomy grew. One winter, it rang just as the first cries of a newborn echoed from a home cradled at the village edge. The child, a boy, would, in time, join the temple himself, drawn by the same pull of devotion as the monks who came before. Some whispered the bell had heralded the birth of a soul destined for awakening. Another time, at the close of the war that had called many young men away, hope was tattered in the village. One night, with the moon hidden and only the mountains quiet breathing for company, the bell boomed once more. Within hours, a weathered traveler, face worn by years of hardship, appeared at the village boundary. He was the son of a grieving mother, returned home against all hope, alive and forever changed. The bell, many said, had summoned him home, or celebrated his safe passage from the shadows of conflict to the sanctuary of kin. Each incident imprinted itself on village memory, blending history and faith, mystery and meaning. Each time the air had been utterly still, no human hand, no clever device, only the inexplicable echoing sound. To ordinary eyes, these happenings might invite suspicion or scoffing. But for those who called the village home, and for the monks who pondered the delicate lines between the seen and unseen, the bell became a symbol of a truth that can't always be understood. The monks, devoted to seeking the nature of existence, began to meditate on what the bell might truly mean. Was it a sign from the bodhisattvas, awakened ones guiding souls through compassion? Was it the collective consciousness of the community, harmonizing in moments of transition? Or merely an instrument of karma, a cosmic reminder that all is interconnected, each life and loss weaving into the greater fabric of being? As the bell's reputation grew, travelers began to visit, seeking both the peace of the temple and the mystery of the unbidden chime. Some sought answers, others merely a glimpse of serenity or a moment to reflect on the mysteries of life and death. Among the monks, a consensus emerged. While the mechanics could not be explained, the meaning was clear. The bell was a messenger, a herald of karma and transition, a reminder that some truths are felt more than seen, heard not with the ear but with the heart. Soon, the bell's presence became more than a tradition. It became a living symbol. Couples offered prayers by its side, asking for blessings on new unions or forgiveness for old wounds. The sick and dying were carried to its tower, trusting the bell's resonance to guide them on their journey. At each occurrence, the passing of a loved one, the promise of new life, the tremors of potential disaster, the people of the village listened for the possibility of the bell, and, in its silence or its song, found reassurance. Beyond the mountain's shadow, the legend spread, carried by pilgrims, recorded in journals, someday perhaps even lost to history, but always alive in the heart of that quiet village. The great bell was more than bronze and inscriptions. It became the pulse of the little community, echoing what could not be said and what lay beyond words. So what does it mean when a bell rings and no one can say why? Is it merely coincidence, a pattern woven from myth and longing? Or is it, as the monks believe, a manifestation of compassion, an invisible hand guiding souls, soothing fears, celebrating moments of awakening? Perhaps the most profound lesson is this: not all messages are spoken. Not all wisdom rides on the breath of teachers or the ink of ancient script. Sometimes what matters most is felt, not understood, heard, but never explained. It is the silent chime of intuition, the sudden clarity during meditation, the deep peace that falls when the heart is open to wonder. Each of us may, in our own way, encounter such moments. A sign without clear meaning, a coincidence too striking to ignore, a sense that something greater is at work beneath the surface of things. Whether or not we believe in omens, karma, or the hidden messages of the sacred, these stories invite us to listen deeply, to remember that the world is more mysterious than we sometimes allow. So, have you ever experienced something that seemed to carry a message, one you couldn't quite explain, but couldn't ignore? A moment that touched your spirit and left you looking at the world with new eyes? As you ponder this story of the ancient temple and its miraculous bell, remember, mystery exists not to be solved, but to awaken awe and humility in the face of all we cannot know. We invite you to reflect, share your story, and walk a little more gently, listening, always, for the sound of the sacred in your own life. If this story moved you, if you believe there is wisdom in the world's mysteries and solace in ancient traditions, share it with others who might also find inspiration. Join us for more tales of mystery, karma, and Buddhist wisdom as we explore the crossroads of the unseen and the deeply felt, the place where legends ring true, like the echo of a bell in the still night air.